welcome to my YouTube channel. Anyway, my name is Angela and my page is Angie Inspires. So I like talking philosophy lessons. I told us before I started this page, when I was introducing this page, that it's going to be about the philosophy of life, what life is all about, experiences and what have you. So many things I'll be discussing on this page. Sorry I went on a break. I had some other things I was attending to. I'm a businesswoman, I'm an entrepreneur. So sometimes you get hooked and we are looking for a way out. So I was attending to some other little challenges. So there's this book on the philosophy of life. Your life is worth living, that I came across. It was written by a Catholic priest, Fulton Sheen. Catholics will know him very well. A Catholic bishop. So because so many times people don't read. We don't even read. Angela, I don't even read. My husband always complain I don't read. Just at least I read, I can easily understand. That's what helped me in school. So I said I'll be going through some books here online. Do you understand? And try as much as possible to make it as fun as it can be, so that it will not be boring. So I'm starting with the chapter 1 of this, the philosophy of life. I've always been interested in that. That's why I'm bringing this topic to light, so that people also, rub minds together and know what is really happening. Because people have come to describe life in so many ways. To some people it's meaningless. To some people they're just chasing shadows. Do you understand? They will tell you you don't even know where you're going. So why are you disturbing yourself? You do what you can do anything you can do to survive. And at the end of the day you go. You don't even know where you're going. Do you understand? So that's just a whole lot of misconception that people have. So I just had to take time. I thank God I have this book. Somebody, forwarded it to me a long time ago on WhatsApp, and I stuck it on my system. So I said one day I would come up and read it online, so that people will also, have an idea of what life is, so that it's not making meaning to. Thank you. So I'm going to be reading to your hearing. I'm sure, I just pray you hear me and understand. Then when I get to a point that touches me, I need to explain, I'll also do the explanation. So chapter 1, the philosophy of life. Peace be to you. There are 2 ways of waking up in the morning. One is to say, good morning, God. And the other is to say, good God, morning. We're going to start with the second. That's with good God, morning. People wake up that way, have an anxiety about life. Do you understand? They wake up like, God, it's morning again. Like today, I don't even know what is going to happen. I don't even know, just with such anxiety. And life seems rather absurd to them. And considerable literature is being produced today on the absurdity of life. Just like I earlier said, people begin to think that life is absurd. One of the best expressions of that absurdity is a novel with 2 factories on either side of a river, like 2 factories on either side of a river. Please get the illustration. One factory took great big stones, smashed and ground them into powder, and shipped the powder to the other side of the river, where another factory turned them into great big boulders. Then the boulders were sent back to the first factory, and so this routine continues. So this is a literary expression of the way people regard life today. Back and forth. We go up and down, we begin again, just the same routine, circling, doing the same thing over and over again. One finds this absurdity expressed in the writings of an existentialist who pictured 3 people in hell. Each one wanted to talk about himself, his own aches and his own pains. The other were only interested in their own aches and pains. Finally, when the curtain goes down, the last line of the play is, my neighbor is hell. Do you understand? Everybody wants to talk about himself. We all want our pain. Do you understand? We are not even talking about the other person, which is the way some people live. Along with this sense of absurdity, there is also a drift. Many men are like the old man river. They just keep floating along, no goal, just a kind of an arrow without a target, pilgrims without a shrine, journeys at sea without any kind of a port. What is the common conclusion of people who wake up and say, good God, morning? To them, life has no meaning. It is without purpose, goal, or destiny. I remember when I first went to Europe to study as a young priest. I was taking courses during the summer at the Sorbonne in Paris, principally in order to learn French. I dwelt in a boarding house that belonged to Madame Citron. I was there about a week when she came to me and said something, but it was all French to me. You get too angry in Paris because the dogs and horses understand French and you don't. There were three American school teachers living in the boarding house, and I asked them to act as interpreters. This is the story that came out. Madame Citron said that after her marriage, her husband left her, and the daughter that was born to them became a moral wreck on the streets of Paris. Then she pulled out of her pocket a small vial of poison. She said, I do not believe in God, and if there is one, I curse him. I've decided, since life has no meaning and absurd, to take this poison tonight. Can you do anything for me? Through the interpreter I said, I can if you're going to take that stuff. I asked her to postpone her suicide for 9 days. I think it is the only case on record of a woman postponing suicide for 9 days. I never prayed before as I prayed for that woman. On the 9th day, the good Lord gave her great grace. Some days later on the way to Lourdes, I stopped off in the city of Dax, where I enjoyed the hospitality of Monsieur, Madame, and Mademoiselle Citron. So this is the woman that wanted to commit suicide for 9 days, and she went to get a priest. Do you understand? And told the priest that she doesn't believe in God, and since life is meaningless, there are things that will hit you. If you don't have where to fall back, as a Christian, something can hit me, and I will go back to God because I have hope in Him. I will wait. Do you understand? I can't even be hopeless in life because it's not possible. Because I have God, I will always go back to Him. But when you don't, it's just like a pilgrim without a shrine. Where do you pay homage? What else do you have? Humans can fail you, and you think you have confidence in them. Okay, so this is the woman, the husband, and the child. The Reverend Father went back and saw them. I said to the village priest at the Citrons Good Catholic, he said, it's wonderful when people keep the faith all during their lives. Obviously, she did not know the story, so it's possible to find one's way out of this absurdity. Let's come to a question which interests all psychiatrists and all of us. What is the difference between a normal and abnormal person? A normal person always works toward a goal or a purpose. The abnormal person looks for escape mechanisms, excuses, and rationalizations to avoid discovering the meaning and purpose of life. Just that. Because the reason why I'm saying this is some people are not just normal. I was very young. I think I was going for my pre-degree. When I had looked for admission, it was not coming. Because we didn't know the right things to do. There was no information, a whole lot. So I had to opt for a pre-degree course. A pre-degree program, sorry. So when I got admission through pre-degree, I wanted to go and pay my acceptance fee. I met some guys. I was a very young girl. What do I know? I was very naive. I stayed all at home with my mommy, and there was no exposure. So at that point, but my mommy exposed me a very whole lot to God. Yes. So train a child in God and forget any other thing. I'm giving you confidence. Like, train a child. Like, bring a child to God. Every other thing is secondary. It's not as if they are not important, but it's secondary. So this I think I met a guy first, and he was asking, and most times, because this is what I was trained to do, every time I will talk about God. I can't start a conversation with you and not talk about God. I must talk about God in one way or the other. So that was always an important part of my conversation. So when I was, just talking freely, the guy was like, this is God you're talking about. How are you even sure He exists? I said, wow, are you serious? So I started giving the little testimonies and experiences I had with Him, which at a point could be questionable. How are you sure He's the one that did these things you're saying He did? It could have just happened. It could have been coincidence. It could have been because you believed. Okay, so I went home to my mom and said, Mommy, look how somebody told me to do. She was like, what? Take your time not to go close to such people again. Little do I know that I'm going to meet such people and I'll be addressing them. So please share this video. Share this video if this is the only good thing you can do for the world. Yes, please share this video. Why am I saying we should share this video? There is a whole lot of fallacy going on right now, and this is just my one bit I have done by speaking it out. Do you understand? Then your own bit is just to share the video. Thank you. So we continue the reading. So I thought that a normal person always works toward a goal or purpose. The abnormal person looks for escape mechanisms. You understand? People are looking for escape mechanisms. They don't want to walk. They don't have visions. They don't have goal. Anybody can come and tell you something and you swallow it hook, line, and sinker. You are born into Christian. You're born into a Christian home. For one day, you never asked yourself what this is about. Do you understand? You never read books. You never studied your faith. You never went to like in my church. We have doctrinal classes. We have catechism classes. They train you and tell you what the faith is about. You're not bothered about these things. You understand? Then tomorrow somebody still comes and tells you, tradition is the best. So we cannot forget our ancestors. It's true. You jump there. Are we not ridiculing ourselves? Tomorrow somebody will come and tell you that Buddha is the one that we should serve now. Next tomorrow they'll tell you it's Sikhism. There are many religions too, because I had to as a marketer, I had to my first job was marketing. Do you understand? So I met a lot of people. I interacted with my customers. So which religion do you so they are amok. Yes, these things are religion. Is Ekanka. Tomorrow an Ekanka person will come and tell you. You will say, hey, I have seen the true religion of the light and sound of God, and you're just dabbling. It is well with your soul. Please become normal. If you're such person, try and be normal. The normal person sets for himself a goal. A young man may want to be a doctor or a lawyer, but beyond that, there is something else. Suppose you ask, what do you want to do after you become a doctor? Well, I'll get married and raise children, and then be happy and make money, and then give money to my children, and then there comes a last, and then the list goes on and on. After this, what next? After this, what next? My reverend father in church, I think one of the Bible study classes, he was saying that he went to that a man came across a fisherman, relaxing, enjoying himself after a little work. So after he did that work, he now said, no, he was asking the man. He now said, why are you relaxing? Why are you relaxing instead of you to work hard, get money, and there's still time for you to work and all that. He said, okay. He said, really? Okay. That's after he catches the fish. What next? He said, you build houses, get married, do this and that. He said that after that, what next? He will do this. After that, what next? He will now relax. He said, he's still relaxed. He's relaxing. So my brethren in Christ, there is always a and then. There is always and then. You understand? There's a last point that after these things, like the rich fool, you've made the money. Then let me relax and enjoy, and your soul is being required of you. You don't even have time for your soul. Do you understand? So let's continue reading. This page is going to be a reading page. And there comes a last and then. The normal person knows what that and then is. The abnormal person is locked up within the barrel of his own ego. He is like an egg that's never been hatched. He refuses to submit himself to divine incubation in order to arrive at a different life than he has. What are some of the escape mechanisms of the abnormal person? If he wants to go from New York to Washington, he isn't concerned about Washington. He's concerned about giving excuses why he doesn't go to Washington. A common escape mechanism for the abnormal person is a love of speed. I believe that an excessive love of speed, or should I say a love of excessive speed, is due to a want of a goal or purpose in life. So they do not know where they are going, but they certainly are on their way. They may even be an unconscious or half-conscious desire to end life because it is without purpose. Another escape can be sex, as well as throwing oneself into business in an abnormal kind of way in order to have the intensity of an experience atone for a want of goal, or atone for a want of goal or purpose. One very famous psychiatric, Dr. Carl Jung, said that after 25 years of experiences dealing with mental patients, at least one-third of his patients had no observable clinical neurosis. Do you understand? Like, there was no observable symptom they had that they were mentally ill. All of them were suffering from a want of the meaning and purpose of life. And not until they discovered that will they ever be happy. Some people are just confused. They don't even know where they are coming from. They don't know where they are going to. And you see that's where the problem begins. The vast majority of people today are suffering from what might be called an existential neurosis, the anxiety and the problem of living. They ask, what is it all about? Where do I go from here? How do I find it? You may be thinking now I'm going to tell you to go down on your knees and pray to God. No, I am not. I may say that a little later because people who have an existential neurosis are too far from that for the moment. I'm offering two solutions. First, go out and help your neighbor. Those who suffer from an anxiety of life live only for themselves. Their mind and heart have been dammed up. All of the scum of the river of life makes the heart and mind a kind of a garbage heap. And the easiest way out is to love people whom you see. If we do not love those whom we see, how can we love God, whom we do not see? Visit the sick, be kind to the poor, help the healing of lepers. Find your neighbor, and the neighbor is someone in need. Once you do this, you begin to break out of the shell. You discover that your neighbor is not hell. As Sartre says, your neighbor is part of yourself and is a creature of God. So, I think we've come to a considerable length today. I think this is 17 minutes. I thought I could do just 10 minutes. So, most things about books is that this person is giving you his or her ideology of life. This person is giving you parts of his knowledge, what he thinks about life. So that's what it's all about. That's what a book is all about. I am schooled in this place. I can give you my bit of what I have come to understand through experience. So from Fulton Sheen's Your Life is Worth Living, you can find fulfillment.
I go ask him, what's up now? How are you, madam?
So the two solutions, you understand, to overcoming the absurdity of life, anxiety of life, is one, go out and help your neighbors. Those who suffer from an anxiety of life live only for themselves. Their mind and heart have been dammed up. All of the scum of the river of life makes the heart and mind a kind of a garbage heap. And the easiest way is to love people whom you see. If you do not love those whom you see, how can we love God, whom we do not see? Visit the sick, be kind to the poor, help the healing of lepers, find your neighbor. Your neighbor is someone in need, people in need. Once you do this, you begin to break out of your shell. You discover that your neighbor is not hell. As Sartre says, your neighbor is part of yourself and is a creature of God. A father brought his son to me, a conceited young delinquent who had given up his faith and was bitter with himself and everyone whom he met. Following our visit, the boy ran away from home for 1 year. The boy came back just as bad, and the father brought him to me asking, what should I do with him? I advised him to send his son to a school outside the United States. About a year later, the boy came back to see me requesting, would you be willing to give me moral support for an enterprise I have undertaken in Mexico? There is a group of boys on the college where I am who have built a little school. We have gone all around the neighborhood and brought in children to teach them catechism. We have also brought a doctor from the United States once a year for 1 month to take care of the sick people of the neighborhood. And I asked, how did you become interested in this? He replied, the boys went down there during the summer and I joined them. He recovered his faith, morals, and everything else in his neighbor. It is the poor, indigent, needy, sick, fellow creatures of God who give us great strength. Some years ago, there was an Indian who went into Tibet. He went in to do evangelizing in that non-Christian country with a Tibetan guide. During the trip, it got very cold crossing the foothills of the Himalayas, and sat down, exhausted and almost frozen. This Indian, whose name was Singh, said, "I think I hear a man mourning down there in the abyss." The Tibetan said, "You're almost dead yourself. You can't help him." Singh said, "Yes, I will help him." He went down and dragged the man out of the abyss and carried him to the nearby village and came back completely revived from the act of charity. When he returned, he found his friend, who had refused to aid the neighbor, frozen to death. Therefore, the first way to escape the anxiety of life is to find your neighbor. The second way is to leave yourself open to experiences and encounters with the divine, which will come to you from without. I say leave yourself open. Your eyes does not have light, your ear has no sound or harmony. Food of your stomach comes from outside. Your mind has been taught. A radio pulls in unseen waves from the outside. Allow yourself to receive certain impulses that come from within, which will perfect you. No matter how far away you are from what I'm talking about, they will still come. I remember inviting a woman to see who had just lost her 18-year-old daughter. Okay, I remember inviting a woman to see me who had just lost her 18-year-old daughter. She was very rebellious and had no faith whatsoever. She said, "I want to talk about God." I said, "All right, I will talk about him for 5 minutes and then we talk about or against for 45 and then we'll have a discussion." I was talking about 2 minutes when she interrupted me. She stuck a finger under my nose and said, "Listen, if God is good, why did he take my daughter?" I said, "In order that you might be here, learning something about the purpose and meaning of life." And that is what she learned. I am suggesting you will not just reason yourself into the meaning and purpose of life. You will act yourself into the meaning and purpose of life by breaking the shell of egotism and selfishness and cleaning the window of your moral life to allow sunshine in. You would not be seeking God if you had not already in some way found him. You are a king in exile with a kingdom. We will tell you more later on. And that's the end of this chapter. You understand? So, a brief take. Let me just do a little summary. And I know you've heard all I said, and you can still have something you've learned from what I just read. This whole boils down on the 2 commandments: love of God, and love of neighbor. Do you understand? We cannot say we really love God if we are not loving the neighbor. I think that's why Fulton Sheen started from, finding yourself in your neighbor. Your neighbor is not hell, helping those around you, listening to your heart, and that. Do you understand? So, and also, open up yourself and forget your ego, and open up yourself to what's coming from within. Listen to the divine. Life is divine. Do you understand? It's not about and then. It's not about materialism and all that. 2 things have to be very important to you: the divine and reaching out to your neighbor. So with this, I think we'll draw our curtain on today's discussion. And tomorrow we'll be having chapter 2, which is conscience. Do you understand? So that's why I'll be dishing out tomorrow, conscience. Thank you for staying with me. Thank you for being with me, and thank you for listening. Do tune in next week as I bring you another amazing episode of Fulton Sheen's Your Life is Worth Living. I just wish this can get to somebody that is exhausted about life. God bless you. Thank you.